So our next adventure took us to Lexington, and this is the site of the first shot of the Revolutionary War. That there is a statue of
Captain John Parker.
Captain John Parker. That stone right there was the original site of the Belfry.
Don't forget the other stone.
That obelisk there.
Where we're standing with the the flagpole right here was where the British line was on April 19, 1775. The obelisk was the far right side of the line of colonial troops on the western edge, and then over to the right, where the bench and the rock was the far left side. Where a vast majority of the troops was over in that corner, and there was approximately about 80 militiamen that were called up to here when they heard that the British were walking up the street coming up behind us. It's interesting, this flagpole that we're standing in front of was registered as a historical landmark sometime in the early 1900s, and it was actually one of only 8 places in the U.S. that they allowed the U.S. flag to fly 24 hours a day. However, due to amendments to the Constitution, certain requirements are met. You can fly a flag in the United States for 24 hours a day, but this one was a permanent one.
So it's a neat little town, and it's pretty humbling, I guess, to say that you are standing on the ground
That road that you're looking down,
that the Revolutionary War took place.
this road that we're looking down to our right, you'll see a trolley coming down the street. That road right there is the road that leads to Lexington, and this was 850 British troops were coming straight up this road from Boston on their way to Concord, which is just a few miles behind where we're at right now. This monument was erected in 1799. It was to the militiamen that fought here. And this was the far left line of the militia during the Battle of Lexington. And as you can see, Kelly putting this up, seven out of the 8 militiamen that were killed here were buried in the church that's across the street to the left. There's a cemetery behind that. They were disinterred from the old burying ground from there and brought over here and actually reinterred inside the fence line of this monument.
Alright, so we are walking to the first parish in Lexington, and the old burying ground is behind the church, but I am like a fall tree lover, so I just had to get a shot of this freaking tree. Look at how beautiful that tree is. I can't. This is the true beauty of fall in New England, is this tree and this view. Alright, so we're gonna go over to the old burial ground next. Alright, so we have come to the old burial ground, and these stones are like amazing. Look at how old they are. Now, Steve and I go to a lot of cemeteries. It's just a mutual interest to find cool and historic people and where they're buried. And as you can see, These stones are really old. I think we're looking at them from the back, actually. So, yeah, we'll walk up to the front, try to get some names. And kind of what they looked like. I'm not sure who's really exactly buried here, but I just love an old cemetery. We'll see if we can't find somebody who is of some significance to point out. As we walk around, I like to look at the symbols on the top of the grave markers. This person died in 1841. Oh. So quiet here. Yeah, I know they're all dead, yeah. But still quiet and peaceful. This person died in November of 1696. Like, wow. These are like super old. These people died in the 1800s of smallpox. So did those. Oops. Echo.
Well, this is the memorial to Captain John Parker here in the old burial grounds. He was the commander of the Minuteman on the Battle of April 19, 1775. Not 100% sure if he's buried here or not, but it's not a very big cemetery, so if he is, we'll find him, hopefully.
Okay, we found this grave of a British soldier wounded at the battle. I think he was the only British soldier buried here, if I remember from what people have been telling us. So we found the grave markers of the Buckmans.
John Buckman, who was the founder of the Buckman Tavern, where the militia was gathered at. And that's where they were at, drinking and having a good old time until they got called that the British were heading up the street. But the Buckman Tavern stayed in the family for a little over 100 years. It's one of the oldest taverns in the United States. A long time.
So this is a map I picked up at the visitor center, and it kind of shows where the historic areas are, where that church is. F is the burial ground that we were just at. Prior to that, we're at the Battle Green, which is in the middle there in front of the church. And there's a statue. So everything is kind of close together. And there's a small fee to get into like the different locations. Like H there is the Buckman Tavern. So there's a small fee to get into that for the tour. And there's also a really cool trolley tour that I saw. That was 90-minute, took you around to all the historic sites. I believe that was $28 a person though, so we chose not to do that this time because everything was fairly close. We could just literally walk to it. So that's Lexington. Pretty nice little town. Should go and see it if you have a chance, if you're in the area. Lots of history if that's what you love. So this is a marking of where the line of the militia men were at the beginning of the Revolutionary War. They stood here from the stone across there as the British came from that direction down to here, and the militiamen saw how many British were there, and they were told to turn and go home because they were severely outnumbered by the British. And this is where some of them fell. They were shot or stabbed. The baronets, I believe. Oh, Steve's not around me at the moment. But this is the ground that it all happened. As the militiamen were turning around to go home, someone fired a shot, and that's how it all started. And they turned around and they started to come back, knowing they were outnumbered, but they tried. And 8 of them were killed, 10 were injured. A British soldier was injured, killed, and he was the guy buried in the old burial ground. So it's pretty cool to stand on this ground, knowing part of history happened here, and you are here now to reflect on that history. So that's Lexington. Pretty great trip. Nice to be standing on the land that it actually happened and to learn about it. So let's see where our adventure takes us next time.